Hey everybody, Coach Michael here. Hope you're all doing well. Back for another open class. We are trying to get through as many of the emails as we can, and appreciate all of them. Thank you so much. And I have 5 that I'm going to go over in this class. So let's just jump right into it. The first question is from Jake. Hi, Jake. It's really great to have another message from you again. Last time I wrote to you, I was trying to correct my sleep hours, which I managed to do quite successfully. The problem I've encountered now is waking too early after 4 to 5 hours sometimes, and other times sleeping all the way through the night. I woke up at 2 and am feeling quite tired after being in and out of sleep all night. My sleep anxiety has since arose. Any tips on sleeping all night and how to shake off this anxiety around sleep? Okay, Jake. First of all, you know about sleep. There's no way you can make yourself fall asleep, but there's also no way you can make yourself stay asleep. So that is the passive, natural nature of sleep. So the question becomes, what can you do when it happens? Nothing specific will make you fall back asleep, but simple things like not giving yourself access to the time. I'm not sure if you do or not, but yeah, you did note the time. So that's something that you could remove from the night. And then as far as anxiety, you never want to run away from it. So, if there are things, if there's something that's making you anxious at night, do a thought download during the day. Take a few minutes, write things down and get things off your mind. And then they become more tangible on paper. You teach your brain that you're aware of these negative thoughts, these worries, and then educate yourself about sleep. And then all you can do at that point is not try to force sleep and try to enjoy the time that you're awake at night. It's all you can do. So, find simple things that you like and enjoy them without knowing the time. I think is very helpful. And simple things can be just easy to do and enjoyable. And then you're teaching your brain this is okay. Being awake at night is okay. Because when you are okay with being awake at night, you start to become awake less at night. And that's the big sleep paradox, right? So that's what I would suggest. Just a couple comments there. Great that you're sleeping better than when we first heard from you. So I'm really glad to hear that. Okay, so let us know how you're doing. Appreciate that. Next, we have a message from Omer. This is Omer from Turkey. I had been watching your videos for a long while, but then I decided to quit at some point because I thought I got your point. I've studied medicine. I'm planning to make a specialization on psychiatry to become a, guess what, sleep physician. Fantastic. But to do so, I must pass this one of the hardest exams on the world. I mean, the specialization exam in Turkey called TUS. And to achieve this, I must study hard. To study hard, I must sleep good. I'm having an insomnia problem for about 10 years. An interesting point is this: I can't sleep at night, but after the sunrise, sleep happens more naturally. My dad had been suffering from delusional disorder when I was a child. I was sleeping with my mom in a separate room almost every night. He came to our room aggressively, and I was worried that he could harm my mom. Do you think these childhood traumas might be a reason I can't sleep at night? I was planning to write a short message, but it came out much longer. How could you help me? Which books about insomnia would you suggest for me? Thanks a lot. Take care of yourself. Best wishes, Omer. Okay, Omer. Well, first of all, how exciting that you're going into sleep medicine. That's great. Yes, an exam, difficult, challenging exam, falling asleep, more difficult. You're wondering if it stems from some childhood trauma with your family. And I think you comment also that you fall asleep. Where did I see that? You fall asleep more easily when the sunrise, there it is. Sunrise sleep happens more naturally. Okay, so a few different questions there, Omer. So first of all, anything can trigger insomnia. It's certainly, past trauma can, make you feel anxious. And if it has associations with night, then yeah, absolutely, that can be kind of a challenge. Um, there's no simple answer, but obviously you want to, you want to just try to educate yourself. You're going to become a sleep physician, so learning about sleep, learning about how insomnia goes from a poor night of sleep into something more chronic, addressing those issues of past trauma, anxiety from the past, all of these things. You can't just like sweep them under the rug and then expect sleep to be easy and consistent and all of that. So that's just something you're gonna have to kind of work on, like during the day, kind of process some things in whatever method works best for you. Falling asleep at sunrise, really common. I think Coach Daniel has talked about that. It's calls it surrender sleep, right? It's like it's the end of the night. Sun's just about to come out. You see the little morning light, just a little bit of it, and sometimes that just makes people feel like, okay, I'm just gonna like lay down and see what happens, and then lo and behold, they fall asleep. And yeah, you could argue that part of it is from the being awake for so long at that point, that it just your sleep drive like overrides, any kind of hyperarousal. Also, your circadian rhythm is really low at that point. So there's some kind of physiological things going on, but I think that there's a lot of more of the psychological things going on too. That you just give up. You stop trying, right? You just kind of stop trying. So that's probably why it's happening, but maybe a combination of those two things I just described. And so that, and it's not uncommon at all. A lot of people talk about that. And then I think those were, I think, your two main questions. Worried about a big exam? Absolutely. I mean, that's common. You just kind of, the whole idea of like, you can't really do much specifically at night. It's kind of like, these are things that you kind of want to address during the day. The daytime's a better environment for that. It's light out. You have people around that you can contact. It's less, there's no pressure. It's like you can kind of just work with your thoughts during the day a little easier than you can at night. So those are just some thoughts there. And make sure the timeless night. I think that's helpful. Make sure, I don't know, you didn't note any time clock times in your message, but just make sure that you're not monitoring time at night, because that just kind of makes it worse. And then make sure you're not trying to force your sleep. And the other side of that is make sure you are trying to enjoy the wakefulness time that you're experiencing during the night. And and then you want to set an end to your quote unquote night. So if you're falling asleep, at sunrise, I'm sure your goal isn't to sleep all day and be awake all night. So, you might kind of set a bit of a hard stop, to your quote unquote night. Maybe it's noon or something like that. So you kind of have that circadian anchor kind of stabilizing things a little bit. And then if you feel up to it over time, you can kind of like slowly pull back that time, 11:30, 11, 10:30, 10, and just whatever pace, you find comfortable with. So those are just some suggestions there. Hope that helps. Thanks. Let us know how you're doing. Okay. Then we have a message from, let's see where I go here. There we are. From Des. I worked with you via the BedTyme app in the summer of 2020. I learned a lot. So this is Coach Daniel's app, the BedTyme app. My biggest concern is sleeping with a snorer. I know it sounds funny, but I'm sure it's an issue for lots of people. I've created a habit sleeping on my couch with no issues. I do listen to YouTube or watch documentaries before sleep. I really want to sleep in my bed, but no matter what I do, I can't because my husband snores. I've tried earplugs, but I can still hear him snore. So I sleep on the couch, and now it's a nightly habit for the last year. My bed is comfy, and I miss it, but any association to it creates anxiety because I know I won't sleep due to his snoring. I do understand that this thought is the gas/hyperarousal for my lack of sleep in my bed, But how can I sleep when I hear the snoring? Is my couch now considered a sleep effort while watching YouTube? I really watch it. I really watch it because I'm not tired and enjoy it, which really makes me sleepy. How can this transcend my bed? My husband has sleep apnea and wears a special mouthpiece, but I still hear him. How do I get past the anxiety, go into my bed, knowing the snoring is the culprit? I have tried to sleep there on my own and still have a hard time. I think an association in my bed creates this hyperarousal. Should I order another gadget to block the snoring noise, or is this a sleep effort too? Can you please help me with strategies to start sleeping in my bed because I really want to be there? Okay, Des. Yeah. So when I read this email, pretty straightforward. Okay. Yes, you have, maybe some anxiety of sleeping in your bed because your husband's snoring. Your husband has sleep apnea. They're being quote unquote treated with a mouth device, but your husband still snores loud enough to disrupt you. So the answer is probably not as much of you changing your thinking, but more your husband needs to talk to his doctor and let the doctor know he's still snoring. It's not, if you're snoring and you have sleep apnea and you have a treatment going like CPAP or a mouth device and you're still snoring, you want to make sure your doctor knows about that and see if there's a better treatment option or an adjustment to the current treatment option. I think that might help both of your issues there. So you want to make sure your husband's breathing well, and that will help you sleep, because if he's sleeping quietly, that sounds like it would be a much better environment for you. So I kind of was focusing more on your husband snoring when I read your email, but I know what you're saying. You want to be in bed, but you get anxious because you're not going to sleep there. And I get that, but this is a very kind of specific reason, right? It's not just general anxiety. It's you're anxious because the snoring, your spouse snoring. So I strongly encourage him or you to both work on get his doctor involved, or whatever it is, get the sleep apnea treated. Because when sleep apnea is treated, breathing is quiet and regular. And it sounds like that would be the solution for you being okay about sleeping back in your bed. So that's what I would suggest. Okay. All right. Thank you for your email. Appreciate that. And next we go to Connie. I've been following your group for quite some time. I recently read The Effortless Sleep Method by Sasha Stevens. In the book, she talks about relaxation techniques to wind down before bed. One of these being meditation with binaural beats. So I found one on YouTube. The first and second nights of listening, I was so relaxed, I actually nodded off. Last night, I was totally different. Okay, so it worked for a couple nights. And then last night, totally different. I was in the same room, same time of evening. And after the first couple of minutes, my heart started beating erratically. My heartbeat was all over the place, scared me. So I tried a couple of different videos of the same nature to see if I would get the same response. And unfortunately, it continued. I knew I would not be able to go to sleep until I calmed my heartbeat back down. Even with this going on, I went to bed and tried to do deep breathing, which was unsuccessful. So I finally got up and read for a while. Heartbeat got back to normal, and I went back to bed and slept. Can you explain to me what happened? I liked listening so much, and then it turned into a problem. Thanks in advance, Connie. Yeah, Connie, I do have a thought on your email. So, you have to go back to the basics of sleep efforts, right? Sleep efforts, anything you do with the purpose, the intent that it is going to make you sleep, all of those are going to backfire. They're going to fail. How long they last and all that, they're all kind of different, but what I read, in your email is that you put a lot of confidence in this binaural beats. You read about it in a book, and then you thought, okay, well, yeah, that should work, and then it worked for a couple nights, and then all of a sudden, it didn't. So, the answer to insomnia is not a gadget It's not a particular breathing technique. Like, you think you did some abdominal breathing, which is very nice for relaxation, but relaxation does not mean sleep. Like, in other words, you have to kind of be relaxed to fall asleep, but getting relaxed doesn't mean you will fall asleep. So be really careful about things like you're doing like that, because the more focus you put on those things, the more expectation you have, and then if something doesn't go right, it can really, in some people, really explode into big time anxiety. And it sounds like that happened to you, with your rapid heartbeat, or the heartbeat you were experiencing. So there's no magic solution here. You have to just understand that sleep is passive, that you can't make it happen. You can't force yourself to sleep. You can't force yourself to stay asleep. None of that is possible. Understand some normal sleep facts, like everyone wakes up at night multiple times. So if you find yourself awake at night, first things first, remind yourself that that's normal, completely normal to be awake a bit at night. So then how do you react to it? Well, do you stay in bed with the light off, trying to force yourself to sleep? Or do you maybe sit up, do something you like without knowing the timeless night, and then you just go through, for a while in the evening, during the night, and just kind of enjoy the time. All you can do is just let your brain know that, hey, no big deal being awake at night. I like the crossword puzzle. I like the show. I like the book, whatever it is. I think you said you did some reading and then you kind of settled back down. Reading is different than doing abdominal breathing with the purpose of sleep, or listening to the binaural beats with the purpose of intent to sleep. Reading is just to read, right? Do you see the difference there? That's actually what allows sleep to happen, is when you're not focused on it, you're not actively trying to make it happen. So reading accomplishes that for a lot of people. And it's one of my favorites. It's one of my go-to, just paper book reading. You kind of get lost in a story. Your natural sleepiness will kind of take over. And usually, that's it. It's not putting you to sleep. It's allowing your sleepiness to get strong, for you to perceive it, and then sleep more, has a better chance of happening more easily. So doing things to focus that just kind of are about making you sleep, you be really careful about those. They will backfire. Anyways, hopefully those comments helped you. Thank you so much for your email, Connie. And I think it's our last one, Anastasia. Hi, guys. First, I want to thank you so much for explaining insomnia in such a clear and thoughtful way. You're very welcome. I started having an issue sleeping a month ago, and I found your YouTube channel last week and have been reading Nato, Coach Daniel's new book. Nato, please check it out if you haven't. It's a great read. And it's really helped to reframe my way of thinking about my culpability in not sleeping. I have none. It just happens. What a relief. And helping me come to terms with, quote, bad nights of sleep. It's definitely a learning process, but I feel like if I continue to try to practice not caring and accepting all outcomes when it comes to sleep, I'll get there. My question is this. I've been learning about sleep efforts and how we should try to avoid these efforts, as they can make you more preoccupied about sleep. I live close to my town's city hall, and it chimes every hour to let you know the time. This for sure stresses me out. As soon as I know what time it is, I begin to do mental math of how long I have to sleep before I have to wake up. And then, of course, I don't sleep. I've been using a white noise app to drown out this sound, but this is sort of a sleep effort, right? How do I reconcile creating a sleep effort to create a timeless night? In that vein, I've been avoiding using my phone when I get up if I can't sleep, because I don't want to know the time. But this also feels like a sleep effort, because sometimes I just want to listen to a podcast, but I feel like if I look at my phone and know the time, I'll get stressed out and not sleep. Thank you, Anastasia. You're welcome. Thank you so much for your emails. Very interesting. When I was reading through your email, first of all, thank you for following the channel, and definitely it looks like you're getting a lot out of the Nato book. So you're worried about sleep efforts and the clock tower of some sort chiming the hours out during the night. You wonder about getting a white noise app to drown out the sound. And then you want a timeless night, but that's problem because your phone's got the time on it. Okay, yeah, different things there. So first of all, I think that for sure, getting the time out of the night generally helps most people. The vast majority of people I found over 30 plus years, when they get the time out of their night, then they're not, it just drives performance anxiety. They get in the habit of just waking up at night and immediately checking the time. And that it's like a habit. It just gets really ingrained. And then they know when you ask them, how does knowing the time at night help you sleep? If they're honest, it's usually they just say it doesn't. And then you say, that's right. And it doesn't. So let's look at breaking that habit. And it could be a tough habit. I'm not saying that's easy. Logistically, it's easy, right? Move a clock, do this or that. But your situation is you have a outside clock tower thing chiming the hours, and that's challenging. So what can you do? I wouldn't worry about, whether earplugs or a white noise app are a sleep effort, because you're simply what you're doing is you're employing sensory deprivation, right? We all want a generally comfortable bed. We all want a generally comfortable temperature. You don't want to be too full, too hungry. You just want to be comfortable in whatever way that is without getting super focused on it. But, when you have an external thing like that, it can be very disruptive. And yeah, it's not just a sound. It's a sound that means something, right? It's not just when people live near airports, I think studies have shown at first they might not sleep very well, but then they kind of habituate to that sound of planes landing or taking off, whatever. But the sound that you are here experiencing it means something one chime for one, two chimes for two, or something probably like that. So yeah, whatever you can do to remove that or block it, I would say that's not a sleep effort. That's not making you sleep. It's actually helping you with timeless nights, right? So that's what I would say there. Whatever method you come up with, there's some really good earplugs, on the market. You can go onto Amazon and check them out. They're not expensive. Find something that works, or the white noise thing, or whatever it is, I think would help. I don't know. When I was reading your email, I was thinking I'm picturing this little town, maybe you can go to the town elders or whatever and say, hey, how about we turn this thing off at night and then start it up at the morning or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of pontificating here. So hopefully you can come up with a simple solution for that. Let's see if I was missing anything else in your email. So using your phone is fine at night. Some people do silly things. They put a little piece of tape over the time on their phone. Yeah, you can do that if you want, but it's sort of if you want to listen to a podcast at night and you want to play it from your phone, that's fine. Just don't, maybe get too engrossed in your phone. Maybe just use it to play the podcast, and then maybe do something flip through a magazine while you're listening to the podcast or something, if you want to kind of do something else. So just simple things like that usually are enough to make it so you are befriending the wake time that you're experiencing at night. Okay. So hopefully some of that helped you. Kind of an interesting situation there. But let us know what happened, what you end up doing, or just kind of following up with that. Okay. So I think that was the last one. Let's see if anything's going on here. Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you so much for your emails. We try to answer all of them if we can. We're kind of getting to the point where, we might have to be a little bit selective now and then. So if we haven't answered your email, if you want to try again, or, just let us know. We'll do the best we can. And really appreciate everyone sending messages, and that's great. Check out everything at thesleepcoachschool.com. You guys have a great rest of your evening where I am, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well, and look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.